Welcome to the podcast and welcome back to Jakarta, Ambassador Sir. How are you doing?
Thank you. I'm doing well, and having met you, I do better.
Chief, how long it's been since your last visit to Indonesia?
But actually, I was here in February.
Oh, you were here?
This was rather fast, but that visit was after a few years.
Sure. When were you last posted as ambassador in Indonesia? Which year?
I left in the December 2015,
2000.
and I had arrived in April 2012. After a little over 3.5 years.
Nice.
Yeah.
What changes do you see since your last stint here?
I think Jakarta certainly has become an even more modern city. And the modern urbanization brings its own challenges. I see them here as well. But I think there is the vibrancy over here, which I think has intensified. I think the penetration of the internet at higher levels, AI, social media is even more, though it was there even then.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember I was the first Indian diplomat to actually produce an official YouTube video, because that time nobody did it. But I thought Indonesia has a lot of internet penetration, so we should use that. And we did. So I think that part seems to have got accentuated. There is a greater amount of groundswell towards business that I can see. So I think these are all positive signs.
Absolutely. Share some stories. You are a fabulous storyteller. Share us some stories from your Indonesia stint.
Well, let's start at the beginning. Normally, when an ambassador comes, you are supposed to be in hibernation till your credentials are presented. So you are not supposed to meet anybody. So you do. So I used to use my time to go to museums and of course, go to the office, meet the community, but not do any official work. And then one day, a senior friend from the United Nations came, and he was going to be speaking. And then I asked him where, and he said, at the Istana. So I spoke to the chief of protocol saying, listen, I have to go and listen to this guy. He's Indian, he's my friend. He said, but the president will be there, and you are not presented credentials. So he said, okay, you go, but just don't cross the president's path. I said, that's fine. So I did that. I sat at the third row of the ambassadors. And as they finished, I tried to slink away. And suddenly the other protocol people came and said, all ambassadors, the president will meet you. And there I was ushered in front of the president without wanting to be there, or even before my credentials. So it was quite an amusing thing for a diplomat to be caught in that situation. And but I think I was fortunate that several things I did in that period caught the media eye.
Okay.
And so by the time I met Foreign Minister Martin Natalegawa, he says, Ambassador, even before I met you, you seem to be all over the place. And it was an innocuous thing like going to a flower show, or going to a festival or something like that, cultural festival. And there it was. So I think I had a good start over here.
So that's amazing. You've had a very long and a very distinguished career as a diplomat, almost 4 decades. I'm sure when you started as a diplomat, India wasn't the power that it is today, right? And that brings its own changes. I'm pretty sure it affects the way you conduct diplomacy as well, right? So if you could just give us and the listeners an idea of how overall diplomacy has evolved purely from Indian foreign services perspective in the last 4 decades.
Yes. So when I joined the service in 1980, and then I went to my first assignment in Japan in 1982, there was the no internet period, no mobile phones period. All information had to be gleaned from the newspapers. I learned Japanese. So scanning and reading the paper was a very important source of information. But that has changed. Now people don't read newspapers. Now you have other, they have AI and Google and chat, all reading the paper for you and giving the information. But that used to be hard work to sit and understand the newspaper, pick out the nuances and then cross-check them and then come back. Secondly, the human intelligence, meaning contact with humans, was a very important part of diplomacy then. It still is. But I think today more and more young diplomats rely on internet to source information.
So the intensity has decreased of
Yes.
sorts.
And I think that is where one aspect of diplomacy changes. It was originally human contact. Today, it is an information contact. I think that has changed. So I have to always tell my young officers, nothing can replace human contact. So you must always maintain that. The other aspect, of course, by the time then I went to Sri Lanka, which was a very difficult period with the LTT and the JVP on all sides. But again, we used to work on dial phones. And that's the only communication we had. When I went back to Japan, second time, that is when economic liberalization had set into India. So that was another new phase. But as I was remembering yesterday that my first computer in my office came in 1993.
Okay.
And so that is when, I was one of the first embassies to actually get it.
Because you were in Japan.
I was in Japan. We needed it and we were doing important work for the economy. So needed it. So it was that late. And I think my first mobile phone came maybe in the 2000s. And that too was a personal phone, not an office phone.
Yeah.
So these things, instruments have changed your life, the way to communicate, the speed of communication. But I think the essential authority of the information that you have, this vindicativeness, you vindicate it, get it right. I think that the new modern techniques only give you options how to vindicate that. Ultimately, you can't depend on, let's say, ChatGPT to tell you the truth. And the diplomacy always looks for the truth.
Yeah.
You may want to twist it later.
Diplomacy looks for truth or its own truth.
No, as I said, you are coming. So you may need to modulate it, but you first must know the truth. Yeah. Otherwise, you may make an analytical mistake.
Correct.
Right. So that is the thing. You can modulate it. You can change the narrative about it. But what it is, you need to know. And that often an instrument can't give you. An instrument can give you a narrative. So after all, it's scanning the net. Whereas hard facts is something you need to go by. I think that will not change in diplomacy.
True. How did social media affect diplomacy?
So there was a big debate whether we should be on social media or not, but I think that game was lost very early when many people individually went onto social media. And today, people tend to make pronouncements on social media. You're having conversations on social media.
Yes.
And then you have reactions, counter reactions. And then when you challenge them, then the officials say, but they're not official. So now the thing is, what is the official handle, what is not? So that also makes a difference.
Yeah.
So I think social media, like I said earlier, we used to scan the newspapers. Now I think scanning social media and looking at interesting analytical threads, judging which is reliable, which is not. The same thing which I used to do with the newspaper in Japan in 1982, I find myself doing now on the social media, trying to apply the same analytics that I have. Does it meet my requirements, or is it trying to make me guess what slant is it coming by and how accurate it is? So that is there. So you have faster information, but the reliability of information also always remains your own call.
True. But what do you think about civilians getting a peep into some bit of diplomacy which is conducted on social media? In fact, getting participative as well. Right.
So that is where the diplomat needs to be careful.
Yeah.
You should not get into public spat. So you should not post controversial things unless they are government policy. So your job should be to state a statement of fact or position. An accident, convey condolences. Don't say why it was caused. Right? If there is somebody has died, condolences. And then don't say you're bad or good, which an individual can say, not as an ambassador, not as an embassy. Yet you should not be off the ball. People should not say, hey, this happened and the embassy was quiet. So that also gets mistaken now. So while you may use the internet or the social media to gather information, the fact that you're on it gives you greater responsibility to be with it. And if you're not with it, then I think you're losing something.
That's fair. That's absolutely fair. How many books have you authored so far? I went through your website. It was just not ending. So I want to hear from you now.
So my first book was in Japan. It's called The Abalone Factor. It was on India and Japan in 1997. Then there was a hiatus. And then when I was ambassador to Ethiopia, I used to write a column for India on Africa. And the Prime Minister of Ethiopia said, you must write a book because you've done so much now. This is the golden age, so we must write. So I wrote a book called The Injera and the Paratha, which actually had a foreword by the then Prime Minister of Ethiopia.
I was reading at some numbers about your stint in Ethiopia and the trade multiplication out there within your tenure was mind-bending. What was it? It was some 43 million?
Yeah, 40 million to 4 billion.
4 billion investments.
So in developing countries, those opportunities come your way. It won't happen to me in Japan. It didn't happen to me in Germany. But in developing countries, you can make sea changes.
Yeah, but I mean, of course, I'm sure definitely there's one part is intent, which you are full of. Then there's execution as well. I'm sure it's not easy. It's hard work.
Okay, so I had a very good relationship with the Prime Minister there from my very first meeting. Okay, we hit it off. I can't say that happened in any other country. Just one of those things. Dr. Manmohan Singh used to always tell me that he still calls you his friend.
Wow.
So that was for an ambassador a good thing.
Yeah.
And he wanted to learn the development process of India. How did we make it? He talked to me a lot about that. And we ended up then doing a lot of things together. And what he found was that as he slowly spoke to me, I would slowly deliver. Like at that stage, India also was ready to deliver. So I was fortunate to be at that cup. So, Dr. Kalam had come and this very big project called the Pan-African E-Network project. We did that, started in Ethiopia and ultimately in 47 countries. Wow. Similarly, the big loan lines of credit, which we gave, almost $1 billion, that catalyzed private Indian investment, which then came in a big way, saying if Indian government money is going there, we can also go.
Yes.
So that created a chain of events, which they remember till today. So that was also a change for the Ethiopian economy. So that was a good period of my life. Yes.
So that's the second book.
Yes.
Now let's
the third book, then I came to Indonesia.
Yeah.
Right. So I wrote Masala, Bumbu.
Yeah.
And I also wrote a comic book. It's called Travels Through Time. Sure. It is a Amar Chitra Katha on the history of India and Indonesia, which was very exciting. I still can't say which was more difficult to do, that 48-page comic or the 200-page book. And then I went to Germany. Germany, I didn't have a long stint. But I was encouraged by my mother that whatever time you have, you do a book. So we did a book in 3 months flat.
3 months?
Yes. Okay. 3 months. So on Republic Day, I had already launched my book in Germany. Republic Day 2016. And I was going to retire in March. So it's already done. And in India, the book was launched in April. Sure. So that was also very exciting. And then I retired. And then I was very busy. I didn't do much writing. But when the pandemic hit me, I was holding on to a book contract. Okay. To do a book on Africa, India and Africa. Well, nobody had ever done that. Then I used that time and I wrote The Harambe Factor, which was my book before last. And then I started writing a lot for the newspapers, for the think tank journals, because the lockdown gave you that opportunity. I still continue that. But then my latest book now is the Mango Flavour, which is, it's called India and ASEAN After a Decade of the Act Peace Policy. So this is, I'm really proud of. Of course, this is half the size of the Harambe Factor. There are 500 pages, 250 pages. But these books have brought out my personal journey and experiences. So it is not just it is an academic book, but it is not just an academic book. It has got, direct participation. What we did, how we did, how did things pan out, why did they not happen? Like, for instance, at the book launch, they asked me, why did India not join the RCEP? There are almost 3 or 4 pages in this book explaining why this happened. And it is agnostic explanation. What in India felt, what the ASEAN felt, what others felt, and what actually happened. Similarly, I have tried to bring into this ideas, which, as a diplomat, you have to put up the idea and then approved or not approved. As an author, you have the freedom to present the idea and say, there it is. And this is what we ought to be doing. But I guess I have that option that since I'm involved in several sectors, some of the ideas I have given, I'm actually doing them. So I'm not just an armchair writer.
Yeah.
I am a practitioner
Practitioner.
not only of diplomacy, but now of business elements with the human touch. So I feel proud about that.
How did this whole writing books journey sort of begin for you? I understand in Japan, your first book, but where did this seed germinate from? You've always been a journal kind of a person, or
As a diplomat, you end to write a lot of reports.
correct?
Right?
Yeah.
And since you have a lot of report and then you travel a lot, you see unique things. So many diplomats write what are today called blogs or vlogs.
Yeah.
But in the old days, they just wrote,
Yeah.
stories
Yeah.
about the cultural thing that they saw. For instance, I could have written about my Toraja experience, or I could have written how I met the Komodo dragons, or how I shook hands with the orangutan. They're all exciting stories, right? But I guess I haven't done that yet. Yeah, when you've been busy writing academic stuff. But
I think there's a book out there. There is a book inside you with all these very interesting personal experiences.
one journal editor got me to write some experiences. So there's one about a night in Sri Lanka in the midst of chaos, how my wife and I were stuck and yet we escaped. Interesting story. Another one is the Nairobi bombings of 7th August 1998. Another one is how at the RCEP launch, Dr. Manmohan Singh left and I was left to stand in for him. And with a white beard and a blue turban, there was an immense amount of confusion. So those three I have written and have been published. But yes, if I could do 7 to 10 more of such anecdotes, it would become a book. I haven't got down to it yet, though someday I did jot down what anecdotes to write about. I guess we will do it.
So let's delve a bit more deeper into the Mango Flavour. One, why now? This book, was this marinating for a while? Why do you think this was the right timing? And what is the whole book all about?
The book is about India and ASEAN after a decade of the Act East policy. The Act East policy started 2014. So this book was actually written in 2023.
Okay.
And it should have come out in 2024. But for various public reasons, it got delayed. So the why now was that 10 years of the Act East policy. Now, I was here when the Act East policy was announced. So I have seen that evolution. So therefore, it was also a bit of a personal assessment and journey. Because again, this is the uniqueness of a diplomat. You have viewed these things, so you can write about them. So that was the second part. And the third part was that in the world today, there is a growing bipolarity. China and the United States are thinking that they can dominate this world. The rest of us need to realize that we will benefit from multipolarity. And in this multipolarity, Europe, Russia, Africa, India, Japan, ASEAN are all important poles. So having written one book on India and Africa, now I wanted to do India and ASEAN because these are global South poles.
True.
And the more we do and understand each other without worrying too much of what others are saying, I think ultimately we'll do well for the 2 billion people who live between India and ASEAN.
True. Absolutely. This is great. I look forward to reading it. I'm very interested in geopolitics and more. So I'm pretty sure it's going to be an exciting read. Let's talk about post-retirement. You are doing multiple things. I think you are busier post-retirement. So one of them is your involvement with social impact investment. Specifically with Avishkar and Intellect Capital, right? So one, talk to us about what is your role out there and what is this Indonesia exploration or expansion about?
Okay. So impact investment is essentially channeling private funds into achieving the SDGs. So there is a human being at the end of it.
Correct.
So the investment that you make should touch the life of the human being positively. That is the impact we seek. We also seek profit in that order. We are not a non-profit,
Sure.
not a philanthropy. We are a business. Now, when I retired and they offered me a board position on Intellicap, so the group has 6 companies. Intellicap is the intellectual capital, the thinking arm. So they asked me to join the board. And slowly I found that as an independent director, which is what I am, I also became the chairman of the board. So that is my role. Now that is the formal role. There is a foundation of the group. I am on that board as well.
Okay.
And through that, we do similar work, but we do it as philanthropy.
So foundation is non-profit.
Non-profit.
Okay.
Now, under the Intellicap, we have a major advocacy event called Sankalp. So there is a Sankalp India, which used to be in Bombay for 15 years. Last year onward, we called it Sankalp Bharat and moved it to Eastern Uttar Pradesh.
Okay.
It was in Varanasi. This year it may be in Lucknow. We changed the tack on.
Sure.
But there is a Sankalp Africa, which has now been happening for 11 years in a row. In my time, there was a Sankalp Indonesia. 3 years we held it here.
Wow.
And that has sort of stopped for a while. Now, my role is to guide Sankalp. It doesn't come formally, but since I am an advocate of this thing, that is there. Similarly, my experience of global and regional matters, they take advantage of it. So when they want to consult me on certain regional stories or where to go, I have served so much in the global south that there is plenty to talk about.
Sure.
So there, then I am in an honorary capacity, like I'm here. I am with them, guiding them, telling them how things work, and then letting them make their own decisions. I don't influence decisions. I am a door opener.
Door opener. Right.
Yes, and a facilitator. And then, of course, I keep an overall watch on the performance of the company. And I must say, over the last 5 years, the company has become a profit-making center. And we are very happy about that.
Very nice. You are also a visiting faculty. How did that happen?
So, my introduction to Avishkar was in Indonesia through the 3 Sankalps.
Okay.
But my introduction to IIT Indore was in Germany.
Okay.
They came to me and said, we are very keen to sign collaborations with technical universities in Germany. So we worked hard at that. And by the time I concluded, they had 9 agreements with technical universities. All of them don't work equally well, but I think
It's a start.
Yeah. So when I went back, then the director asked me that why don't you come and talk to my students? And instead of just coming and giving guest lectures, you become an honorary professor. So you come as frequently as you can. So I used to go about 3 times a year, 15 days each time.
And what would you talk to the students?
So they have a school of humanities.
Okay.
Where they have separate PhD, MPhil programs. Plus every BTech student had compulsorily to do English, economics, and something else.
Oh, wow.
So the huge school of humanities, I was attached to that school.
Sure.
So I would talk to the PhD students, I would talk to the MPhil students, but to the large economics and English classes, I would go and talk. So basically, I did not teach a course of my own, but I would ask the professor, what are you teaching? And I would supplement that with my practical knowledge and say, this is theory and this is what actually happens. And that I found so that allowed me an interaction with young people, which I cherish a lot. So even today, when somebody invites me to speak at a college or a university, I happily go.
That's a clue, guys. Please. You're also a certified umpire.
Yeah.
How did this happen?
So I was in Kenya and normal posting is 3 years.
Yeah.
So I have been extended up to 4 years.
Okay.
I actually stayed 5 years.
Okay.
Now what happened was, at that time I was posted to a place, but at that time the retirement age was raised by the government.
Okay.
So since all people who had to retire were not retiring for another 2 years, everybody went into a stay where you are mode. And I was therefore staying on more in Kenya. But once, I really believe once you stay 3 years in a place, then you are sort of treading water. You get bored, I know this, you don't want to do anything new. But I also love watching cricket. And there was a lot of cricket around 1995, 1996.
And Kenya had a good team.
Kenya had a good team. They made it to the semi-finals of the World Cup.
Yeah.
So I used to go to the Nairobi Gymkhana and watch and, sometimes play cricket, play tennis. Then these guys said, we are having an umpiring course. I said, this is something I want to do. I want to learn the law. So I did that course. And as the coaches then told me, we never had anybody who scored so highly in the test. So in 1999, just before the millennium, I passed that test.
Wow.
And I became a qualified umpire of the Kenya Cricket Association. Then they said, now on weekend you come and start umpiring. I said, sure. And when I said yes, the government posted me out. So my umpiring career ended rather very short. Yeah.
But have you figured out how Duckworth Lewis works?
Oh, man.
For the love of God, I don't understand it.
I know. So sometimes I say, okay. So I think in football, you got to determine how offside works.
Yeah.
If you understand offside, you understand a lot, no?
Good.
I think same with Duckworth Lewis.
I don't know if it's art, science or calculation.
I think one thing fundamentally wrong with Duckworth. They don't give you credit for wickets lost as such.
Yes.
They only give you wicket lost in Duckworth Lewis.
Yes.
Whereas the rest of the game, if you make 100 runs and lose 9 wickets, or you make 101 runs for 2 wickets, I mean, the guy who lost 9 wickets is far behind,
Exactly.
Duckworth Lewis takes that into account.
Yeah.
The loss of wickets.
Yeah.
Whereas the normal thing, we don't take that into. So it had some things right, but it's a very complicated process.
I think it needs to be revised.
Yes.
It needs a revision for sure.
Yes.
Let's talk about your love for cinema as well. I'm a cinephile myself. What kind of movies do you cherish, or is it all genres or anything in specific?
So when I was young, of course, I was very fond of the new cinema. And even in my first assignment in Japan, I did many festivals of new cinema over there.
Define new cinema a bit.
For new cinema in around 1969, there was the new. So just say with Ray, there was correct. And then that continued with Mrinal Sen.
Yes.
So around 1969, there was Bhuvan Shom, Uski Roti, Shantata Kot Chalu Aaye.
Yes.
Many of those movies came. So those were the new way of cinema. But there was commercially successful cinema as well around 1970. I remember Dastak, a fabulous film made. So there were many films like that. But then they all got merged. But I am a great fan of pure entertainment Bollywood.
Achha,
From my childhood, my grandmother, my mother and I as a small boy in Amritsar, we would go to matinee shows on Wednesday afternoon, which were called ladies shows. Had reduced rate of tickets. Only ladies.
Okay.
Yes. So I've seen a lot of movies in the 60s.
So we're talking about what Manmohan Singh, Masala, Full.
Manmohan Desai.
Manmohan Desai.
Yes,
yeah.
of course. Bluff Master.
Bluff
Yeah. You name it. So all those movies I've seen, all the wonderful music I've heard. So that is in me. And of course, as the time went on, I remember my first posting in Japan, I missed out on Bollywood. Because there was no way. Occasional video would come, but there was no other way. But fortunately, when I was in Kenya, all the new movies used to come in drive-in theaters and all that. So we were back on board. And Kenya having a large Indian diaspora, we had lots of movie events, star visits, drama and all that. And by the time then, of course, video came, then he went on. So we became more adept. And I used to write movie reviews when I was in school. And I still remember I wrote a movie project in 1970.
Okay.
A project on Indian cinema.
Okay.
From something like 1893 to 1970. And it was called A View Through the Kaleidoscope.
Okay.
And all handwritten. The entire thing is handwritten.
Sure.
I still have it in my collection. I haven't lost it. So I'm very fond of cinema. And now I'm also very fond of Bollywood cinema. Then later I found that when I was in Ethiopia, for instance, if you did a Shah Rukh Khan film festival, the soft power of that was amazing.
Wow.
And same in Indonesia.
Yes.
I mean, if Shah Rukh Khan, and he did come here,
Yeah.
I mean, it turns the tables on everything, you know.
Correct.
Similarly, in Germany,
Hmm.
Shah Rukh Khan was a household name. And when I went to the Berlin Film Festival, they kept saying, bring Shah Rukh Khan to because he had done Dawn 2.
Correct.
And then Shah Rukh Khan did come in my time over there.
Okay.
But he came to launch a Z1 cinema channel,
Okay.
24-hour Bollywood movies in German.
Dubbed in German.
Yes. So he was their brand, so he came. So I met him and we had the discussion. And there was a rather amusing scene that he was inside and I was going out of the hotel. And there were about 1,000 girls there who shrieked. And I got a bit taken aback. Then I said, oh, wrong guy. I not he. So Shah Rukh
Was it German girls?
German girls. And Shah Rukh Khan was standing on top. He was watching this.
You're passing by.
So when I came in the evening and joined him again for dinner, he said, Ambassador Saab, today you are almost caught in the stampede. And I am normally caught. I said, but you expect it. I didn't.
Such a charming guy.
He's a charming guy. Yes.
Which is the last movie which you really loved? Indian movie, Bollywood movie?
I saw several recently. But then when you start seeing one genre,
Yeah.
it keeps I saw all these action spy types.
Aha.
You know, Sare Jahan Se Acha,
Yeah.
Freelancer,
Correct.
Special Ops to all these Sahaya.
Which is your favorite movie about diplomats? There are very few, I know. But if you have to pick any, it doesn't have to be Indian only, any movie.
I haven't seen a good movie about Indian diplomats.
There's one movie which I would suggest if you have, I don't know. It's a John Abraham movie called The Diplomat.
That's not accurate. It's based on the story, yes, but it's not accurate. That's not how. Well, we know the diplomat, but that's not how it actually works.
Sure.
There's also the Janhvi Kapoor movie,
Which was
certainly not how. I was hoping one day I would have a colleague like that, but I wasn't ever so fortunate. Yes,
I know a lot of diplomats who took offense to that movie, by the way.
I know some people do, but I think this is entertainment.
Yeah.
We need not worry too much about it.
True.
And where foreign movies are concerned, I don't think they are. I mean, there are some movies, you know.
Argo was well shot.
Yes, well shot. Yeah.
Not sure on the accuracy part, but it was very short.
But sometimes, you know, they tend to show you as heroes, which we are not. We're actually very run-of-the-mill people.
You're being humble. But yeah, I mean, I agree there has to be a human aspect.
Yeah.
I mean, apart from the heroism.
I have lived through very difficult times in Sri Lanka, where I think there were occasions for heroics. But your challenge was to remain under. Don't come out. But we were noticed everywhere. Everybody knew who you are. And, you know, so to get out alive, to get out safe was important and yet do your job.
True.
But I think in other postings, I think heroism is not called. The true heroism is a person who has empathy for the people. If you can show empathy for people, I think that is heroism. I remember when I left Germany, almost a year after I left, by the time Twitter was rampant, people would tweet me saying, save me.
Wow.
And I said, I'm not the ambassador. And they said, we know, but save you are the one who did. So do it again. So I said, come on, we need to get in touch with the ambassador. So I think that is in Indonesia, I had some very touching stories when I was here. In Ethiopia, in Kenya, everywhere. I think those are the real heroics, where you need to stick your neck out a bit. Sometimes the rules don't allow it. How much are you willing to risk? That, okay, no, I know the rule, but I think I need to do this because it's a matter of a human life. I remember once a friend of mine told me that they were leaving a particular country and on board there was a girl who was sobbing, crying. So they consoled her. And then she said, I've got away only because of one Mr. Gurjit Singh.
Wow.
So they came and said, what did you do? I said, I'm not at liberty to tell you what I did. But if the girl was safe, I was very happy. Never saw her again, but I knew that she was safe. So I think that empathy for your people is very important.
On that note, Chief, thank you so much for doing this. Really appreciate it. It was a wonderful conversation. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much.